Here we are. There you go. Carl's Wine Club members, Canadian wine lovers, welcome across the country. It is here, 5 o'clock Mountain. So, with 4 o'clock Pacific, because tonight we have a very special, two very special guests here with us. The way to start the Carl's Wine Club YouTube channel and to keep moving forward with lots of great content in our Facebook page as well, and all of the Carl's Wine Club Facebook, the VIP. So today we are featuring one of the rising star here in the BC wine industry, two very special people. So we have Stephen Carter and Valérie Tremblay here with us, who are... Mira, can you please put Stephen on the screen for me? Thank you so much. Stephen, how are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Valérie, how's it going? Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Hi.
There you go. Great to have you guys. It's awesome. It's one of the things when we started Carl's Wine Club, I really, really wanted to do is doing a lot of live, like meeting a lot with people. So our members can know, like people are from all over the country. We have lots of members in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the Eastern Province. And you know what? There's a lot of our members in Quebec and Ontario who don't know that much about the BC wine industry. So it was something that I really wanted to start, is to sit down with people, talk about their wine, talk about their project, but also talk about what's coming up on their side. So it's great to have you. Thanks for taking the time, and I know that was last minute for you guys, so welcome to Carl's Wine Club. And tonight we're proud to have the rising star of the week, Stephen Carter and Valérie Tremblay. You guys are the founder, the owner of the BC Wine Studio located in Okanagan Falls, and also you guys have your own brand as a Carter Wine Company. So welcome. And to start, I would like to know when and how that BC Wine Studio started.
2014, I guess. Mark Simpson and I, my winemaker at the time, decided that we weren't making enough money making wine for us. We needed to make wine for other people too. So we started a custom crush facility as our winery and have been promoting other brands and getting people started and going in the wine industry. And the whole time, Mark's been sort of the one overseeing it, and I've been trying to get my own brand going and rejuvenate a winery or rejuvenate a vineyard and start the winery off with Mark. So it was a big project.
Definitely a big project, and something now more and more we see some big brands coming out of your, let's put it that way, of your incubator, if we can mention, because I know that our members, know very well Rob Amersley and the Black Market Company that we have featured them with Carl's Wine Club a couple months ago. So Rob and Black Market started with you, and also that the Siran from Mark Simpson, his own personal brand, is doing very well out there. I know that Tumble Wines as well. There's a very talented winemaker. So I know that it's a very prime facility that you guys are operating. So how many acres of vineyards do you guys have?
Our vineyard's small. We only have about 4 acres of vines, a 10-acre property with 4 acres of vines. We're planting some more. We've been ripping things out and changing things because we're trying to put a tasting room in. So we're getting the tasting room in and putting some vines back, let's say.
Okay, I'm seeing you here. You're sitting with Valérie here. So what is the role of each of you guys? So I would say, Stephen, are you the guys out there managing the vines, and Valérie's in this in the winemaking facility, making the wine for the Carter Wine Company? How's that work out there?
Wow.
Oh,
Valerie, why don't you take a stab?
I've been hired by Steven 5 years ago now to help him with the plants. He bought himself a really damaged vineyard. This vineyard is 40 years old. And the plants were let go for 8 years. So when I arrived here, I've been a farm labor contractor for 15 years of my life now. I used to hire French Canadian to do the work with Burning Owl, Esther Creek, Church and State, Moon Cursor. So I'm a South girl, let's say. And when he got me going here, he needed help to work on the crush pad. So I'm like, yeah, why not? I can do that too. I'm doing the vineyards. I can do help in the crush pad because I was hired with work with Esther Creek one season, and I loved it. It was so much fun doing the wine after growing and everything. And then since then, Mark's been mentoring me, and I become a winemaker. It's just a passion. This is my first rosé ever made, grown and made by me with Steven on the crush pad. He's the crush pad manager when I'm inside, and he builds the house, drawing.
Building the tasting room. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the guy you're wearing many different hats, hey, in there.
Yes, most definitely.
I just Mira just mentioned to me that Rob Hammersley just tuned in to listen to what we have to say here. So we need to watch what we're saying. So Rob so you guys are building, so you guys as we speak are building the tasting room. So what's the ETA for the tasting room? Is it planned to be ready for this year, or you're planning more for 2022?
We're hoping that we're open this year, but I think it's going to be the BC liquor guys that take the longest time. We're trying to get all the applications in to get everything happening. We've got the transfer in for the license, and we're doing the different endorsements to get the tasting room going. But I'm worried that it's not going to be till after June that we get approval. So the building, I think, will be here. It's modular, the building. So the site's close to being serviced already. So it's just a matter of dropping it in place, putting a patio around it, and going, let's say. But I think we're going to be held back with the RDUS, well, the liquor board with their licensing.
So the bureaucrats are holding back the passionate wine people, and they're ready to go.
Absolutely.
But we still can have people visiting in our winery, so that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yes,
I can't. Yeah, you go ahead, Stephen. What you're saying?
We do tastings out of the winery right now, and I think most people seem to enjoy them because you're in the middle of it all. You know, there's barrels, there's tanks of wine, there's, you know, you can see it all happening right there. So it's kind of a little bit more hands-on experience.
You know what? When you want the whole that you just mentioned, the whole experience, the whole feeling, the smell, the action, it's not the stage environment. You're right into it. I think that's what brings the most emotion out of it, because wine is emotional, at least to me. But for you guys, even you guys making the wine, everything is like connected with emotion. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
What's going on, Mira?
Hey guys, so I had a few questions. I was looking at your website earlier. So first, I wanted to show you this. Right, that's you guys. What are you guys up to there? Are you bottling?
Yeah, it's third. That probably was the third bottling of our sparkling, traditional style sparkling. All from the estate. So yeah, we're washing the bottles, filling them, and putting the beer cap on them for putting bubbles in the bottle, let's say.
That is so cool. And then I guess this is you, Valerie, out picking grapes, maybe?
We're picking actually last year after we finished pruning, and we're because the plants are 40 years old, so about what the size of the plant, biggest.
4 inches, 5 inches in diameter.
So our machine cannot break it down when it goes in the row, so we have to pick up the big logs out of the rows. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, wow. Wow. Crazy. And then I saw this and I thought, that is beautiful. Is that your property there?
Yes, you're looking through our vines. Yep. Where the dirt's disturbed in the distance, almost in the center of the rainbow, is where our tasting room is going to be located.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that is cool.
And
right at the end of the rainbow. Nice.
Yeah, and the lit up vineyard in the back was Bonamici, our neighbors.
Okay, nice.
So the hog vineyard here, Mira, if you can bring that picture back. So the hog vineyard is literally, that's what we're seeing under the rainbow, or is something a little bit further in the picture?
We're on this side of the road. So the one vineyard that's lit up in the sun, sort of in the very back, that's not ours. That's the neighbors. That's Bonamici. The dirt, disturbed dirt down the hill, and then both sides of the foreground.
That's awesome. It's Okanagan Falls. I think it's one of the most beautiful place on planet Earth. So you guys have such a beautiful spot. Is there any room for expansion around you guys? Let's say, is there more land that you guys can incorporate into your holding? Is it the plan, or you guys feel completely comfortable for what you have at the moment?
Oh, more terroir would always be good.
More terroir means more grapes, means more money.
More wine.
More to play with, yes. More liquid to play with, yes.
That's all. That's
you're
for
getting
sure.
You're getting some serious Facebook love here. Some people that love your wine.
That's my brother. That's not fair.
that's what I thought. But Valérie, there's so many Tremblay in Quebec. You don't have to say that's your brother. No one would know. Come on, just take the loss. Like, don't sell yourself out. You're good. You know what, Daniel, je suis vraiment content que tu aies pris ton commentaire, Daniel. J'ai pas goûté le Hawk encore. La bouteille de Hawk a été ouverte, est ici. Il n'y a plus de bouchon dessus, ce que ça s'en vient. C'est le vin que je vais goûter dans quelques instants, puis je suis très excité. Donc, un gros merci à tout le monde en français qui se joint à nous. C'est très excitant. Valérie, est-ce que tu retournes au Québec une fois de temps en temps, ou c'est où t'es ancré au BC, tu retournes très rarement? Parce que je veux pas te faire sentir mal. Écoute, ça fait 15 ans, moi, que je suis à Calgary. Je suis retourné 3 fois au Québec en 15 ans. Donc, c'est une fois aux 5 ans.
Non, j'ai fait mieux que ça. À mes débuts, j'y allais au moins une fois par année. Quand j'ai eu Mali, qui a maintenant 9 ans, c'est ma mère qui est venue souvent, mais j'étais capable de descendre. Mais les dernières années ici, j'ai pas pu. C'est la famille qui vient aider à place.
C'est ça qu'on fait, nous autres aussi. Ma mère, elle vient, mais mes parents viennent, puis on les laisse venir au lieu de descendre. No, c'est Stephen, how's your French?
Not very good. It needs to improve.
Yeah, it needs to improve. Oh, you know what? I'm sure you can hear, you can understand the basic, right? I know that even my kids at a very young age, they understand when dad is not happy.
Yeah, the French, yes.
So let's move. Mira, what do you have to add?
I have one more question right before we move into the wines, because you got 3 wines you need to taste, right?
Yeah.
You need to. I got one already here, and it's lovely. It's great.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's so beautiful. Yes. So I have one more question. What's the story with your bear? Do you get lots of bears out there?
They were tasting goo a little early.
So is that a problem in OK Falls? You have to watch for the bears, or is it more like a pet bear?
No, I would. Well, I
Let's see
I have
this
a hard
year.
time wanting bears. No, I don't like bears in the yard because they. Well, last year I think they ate 2 rows of Pinot Noir,
Which we had to pick earlier.
and we picked it early because he was just coming in. It was like, oh boy, dinner, and so that one was a few years ago, and I set up my camera up at the top of one of the rows, and of course the bear was not cooperative. He wasn't into the photo op, let's say, and I had my buddy throwing rocks at him a couple aisles over to make him move into the aisle that I had my camera set up in. Because I'd set up and he'd move, so I'd move and he'd move, and it was like, okay, will you stay where I am, please? So it was a pretty funny circumstance to get the picture of the bear licking the Gewürztraminer.
A boy thing, yeah.
So now you guys are telling me that I learned something, that bears like Pinot Noir more than any other grapes.
Well, I think they're the closest to our fence that's bush. They can't see the house from there. We can't see them, obviously, from there. And it was the first right. So they were just, oh boy, let's go have some food.
Yeah. That was the closest. That was the closest to them. So doesn't matter which kind of grape would it be. That was just the closest from them. It seems
closest
like,
and the ripest. Yeah.
Yeah, the ripest. Yeah, something else, because probably they like the sweetest. The sweeter they are, better it is for the animals, I guess, right?
Yeah, they know when it's time to pick the fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bear alert, it's time to pick. I'm just seeing here that Mark Simpson just tuned in as well. So it feels like if it's a reunion from the BC Wine Studio sitting here. So let's talk about before we jump onto the Carter Wine Company on its own. I have one or two more questions about the crush pad, about the BC Wine Studio. Ideally, what's the ideal amount of clients, of prospect that you guys like to have at the same time?
Well, I think it's more our volume. Last year we pressed almost 70 tons of fruit into wine.
It gets tight.
So it's not that big a space. That's sort of our capacity. It was 69 something. So Mark takes a big chunk with his Siren's Call label. We're quite small in our whatever, but we're still we make about 3,500 to 4,000 cases.
We did 46.
4,600 cases last year.
Okay. And so you have
the one that want to stay for a while and push. Let's say Mark Simpson, he's going to be around with us, and we're using the same facility to do the wine. LSM they're pretty small. If they stay around for a while, it's nice. So you don't have to look for newer clients. And like you said, wine is passion, is love. So when we're in there, you want to do it with people you enjoy doing it with. Tumble Wine, I'm hoping keeping him busy enough that he can work here also and work on his wine with me a bit more. And yeah.
So that's good. It's kind of it's like a family atmosphere in there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. We're getting a bunch of francophone here tuning in. That's funny. We had some members from Saguenay, some members from Quebec, and from the regions as well. So it's pretty cool to see all of these French comments. Valérie, I have to tell you, I've been doing live every week for almost a year now. I've never had that many French comment at the same time. So that must be the winemaker, the French winemaker effect here.
Yeah, the French Canadian, yeah.
Yeah, the French connection right here. The last question about the BC Wine Studio, but is the Hog Vineyard on its own, and you guys, it's something that it's property of you, Stephen. It's not something. It's part of the holding of the BC Wine Studio. Is it your, or the Hog Vineyard is separate, or it's together?
Hawk's Vineyard is the farm, is our vineyard, and BC Wine Studio is in a building in the middle of it.
Okay,
Two different, yeah, different.
completely two
So
different.
it's the same, two different entities, but same place. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Let's say if
okay.
we were growing more grape, we would be able to share with other clients. But right now, we barely have enough for us, so we're keeping everything.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was talking with some of other people with Tumble Wines a couple weeks ago, and he was mentioning to me that he likes, his concept is to source his wine to some very small different place all across the valley. And for you guys, do you take 100% of your grapes in the Hawks Vineyard, or you also source?
A huge amount of it is we're only using our own fruit for state wine. We have a little bit.
2019.
Excuse me. If somebody's making some nice wine, or we see some nice fruit come in the house, we definitely, hey, is there any more of that? Could we try some of that? Can we get a ton or two? But as we grow, we're going to have to start buying more fruit from other sources.
And that something already struck me. You were mentioning about the vineyard who's 40 years old. So it's quite old for some vines, and they got damaged with this. So now you're just ripping everything off and replanting new vines, or you just try to keep a part of that older holding. So because we all know that older vines produce richer grape, but very, very little berries. So what's the strategy with that whole planting?
The old vines, I mean, Val can add her comments for sure as a viticulturist more than I am, but we're not trying to rip out the vines. The ones that we haven't been able to nurture back to what we think is a good health, we're sort of picking on, okay, those need to go, that needs to be ripped out. But we're trying to keep everything. If it wants to produce fruit for us, where the old vines have maybe less yield, but more of everything else.
Got the right balance, actually.
Yeah, it's nice balance.
The thing is, if you grow your plants too much, then you have to take some off. So if our plants is well balanced, like some of it are at this point, I just don't have less work in the vineyards to do. So from the beginning, if my pruning is done nicely in the shoot thinning and the spacing, and my plants is giving me just enough, then the growth doesn't go nuts. And I got my pH, my acidity is great. You don't want but too big berries because you want some taste from the skin too, not too watery. So no, I mean, I'm hoping to keep most of them. What's happening is some of the land is pretty dry right now, so we're putting compost and working on that. Lucky us, they were self-rooted, so any plants that damage, I'm able to start from the bottom, so a new healthy trunk.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And tell me, what's the star grapes on your vineyard?
Cabernet Sauvignon for the red is doing quite well. Lemberger and the Merlot together, that's a funny mix that we're doing here. The Lemberger is magnificent, the taste, the spice, even for big berries, the darkness of the fruit. It's quite good, but Pinot Noir is something else too. I think we're lucky, actually.
It's a very the terroir is beautiful here. Everybody in the neighborhood sort of, you can see what they're all growing. it's nice. Limburger is one of the funny ones that we have a few rows in our yard, and I think every year it's the most beautiful looking fruit. It always has not the biggest yield necessarily, but the clusters are just picture perfect, and most of the time we get it to the right ripeness and the taste where we want it to. It ends up just about always being the nicest one.
That's great. That's nice, dear, because I was doing some kind of a same thing with the producer out of Ontario a couple of weeks ago, and we had that conversation about Limburger, and he was saying like right on his vineyard, that's one of a grape. It was shining the most, and we started to talk about the complexity of that grape. It's such an unknown kind of grape that grows here in Canada. When we talk about Limburger to German people, they all know about it, or in Europe. But here, people are not used to hear about Limburger. So what makes Limburger so special, and more specifically, so special on your terroir, you guys?
Wow, I'm not sure. It likes it. It's just the right hardiness. Don't know the genetics of it all to know why it likes it here, but it sure does.
And Valérie, is it more of a early ripening? Is it something you get a little before everything else, or it's something it gets right in the middle, or a little bit later on?
It's right at the same time as the Merlot, actually.
Okay, okay. So late ripening. Okay, I thought it was a little earlier.
Yeah.
It's good.
No,
good.
we're south, north, so not north, but middle of the valley. So we're lucky that we have that kind of plant here to keep up, gets the right amount of time to ripen nicely. It's like our Cabernet Franc here. It's a bit harder to get the right number if we have a year like last year. So yeah.
Yeah, but last year, about 2020 was quite. But that's great that you go there, because it was next on my radar to talk about the 2020 vintage. I know, we get some report out of Ontario that it can be the vintage of the century out there. Everything was absolutely perfect. I'm talking a little bit with some people in Kelowna. They said they see some flaws because the winter there was late frost up in the valley. So for you guys, right down the middle in OK Falls, how's the 2020? Is it as spectacular as other mentioned, or they can be a little bit of a flaws as well in 2020?
We were scared at the beginning for the sugar content, but every fruit that came in were surprisingly great. Acidity, everything was balanced, so everything in the barrel right now are amazing. From, we're working with different growers, what we got from south, for sure north, it's harder because we know because of the temperature, they had a late bloom, everything, and cold snapped in October, so sadly must be a rough year for north, but here kind of gone foul and lower. For what I've seen, for what we got here, we're doing fine, pretty good. I'm happy.
Awesome. So let's get to the Carter Wine Company wine, because I have 3 very beautiful wines open here, and I'm already sipping on the rosé. By the way, it's absolutely beautiful. So Stephen, you were mentioning that you guys did around 4,500 cases last year under Carter Wine Company.
No, under BC Wine Studio.
Oh, BC Wine Studio, because I was just looking on your back label at like 300 cases. I'm like, how many freaking labels do they have if to go up to 4,500 wines? Okay, that makes more sense.
That includes all our, that's all our clients. So we only make, I don't know, 800 maybe, or maybe 1,000.
Okay. Now the maths are easier to it makes more sense. Okay, how many grapes are you working with? How many different varietal on a regular year?
There's 11 varietals in our yard.
Okay.
Which makes it interesting. It was started as putting fruit sealed in barrels in plastic pails and shipped to backyard winemakers. So they had 13 varieties when we got here. A couple of them were just in bad areas that had lots of frost damage, and I had to rip them out. But it's makes trying to make blends a bit interesting. That's why we've got the interesting names, some Limburger, some Ehrenfelser. It just sort of, oh yeah, we got some of this, and we have some of that. So finding the right mix, it's usually they tell, you can tell what they want, what wants to be with what, I think.
Everything makes so much sense what you're saying, Stephen. Absolutely. Valérie, so I'm just seeing here, Mira put on the screen what we're having here, the Nest Pinot Noir. I will let you start with it. So I definitely, I didn't have the time to, but I didn't want to do any research on exactly what's in there. I wanted to taste it first. And so there's Pinot in there. So tell me, is it 100%, is it a whole blend? Is it anything blended? What's your strategy with the Nest?
This is the first one made ever. It's quite a funny story. When the first whites were coming in, they were getting picked, and I was thinking about what we had already as white in the inventory with no labels and not coming out. And I just turned around and I look at Steven. I'm like, Steven, we're making rosé with that. And he's like, okay, let's make rosé. So it's a blend of all the whites we have to begin with, which is Gewürztraminer, a bit of Sigrid, Semillon, a few plants, Chardonnay that we couldn't use from and then Pinot Auxerrois in there. And so now that's my white part. So I needed to add color to it. So so what we did is there was some rosé made from Pinot Noir, and the hard press was available. So I got 20 liters of that Pinot Noir put in there, which gave me a bit of color. At the end of fermentation, color was almost gone. The second pick was the Gewürz, actually, and something else that I have maybe 85 liter, pretty much nothing. So I was looking for a vessel. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's do the fermentation in a barrel, in a red barrel. Maybe I'm going to extract some color from the barrel, the red one. Nothing happened. No color there.
Yeah, no color.
Not at all. Like, it's not working. Thank you. And then at some point, I'm like, okay, I need some color. So when we got our Pinot Noir to be made, the fermentation was going. I stole some skin and let it soak in it. And there you go. You have rosé. Crafted rosé.
I like the way you mentioned it, crafted rosé. This is the quintessence of a definition of crafted. I love it. Yes. I love it. Oh man. But guess what? It's delicious. It's refreshing. I like the balance in there. It's not sweet. There's no cotton candy. Who sometimes, like, that's one of the part I'm kind of allergic with when you taste a rosé and the sweetness grab you. Oh man, it drives me bonkers. I feel like if I'm living in the US when I taste that. But the balance is great. There's a beautiful acidity. There's no spike of any kind of sweetness anywhere. And I really got some Pinot Noir when I tasted first. So very well done. Well done. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
So Stephen, you're just sitting there and like laughing about the whole process of the rosé. What was your involvement in there? Did you at some point have you said, please stop it? It's not gonna work.
No.
Let's try next year or something like that.
No, I run the crush deck, so I was sort of there for the different batches being made, and the getting the color in there and getting the flavor, it sounds weird, but it worked. The skins helped the color, and it was great. Yep.
And I think you guys managed the color beautifully, because sometimes like with the process, the whole thing happened. And let's put it that way here. There's a beautiful salmon pale. It's not over extracted. I don't know if we put that on the luck or a total expertise or the total expertise.
Yeah, there we go.
But geez, everything.
Don't forget that I spent all my days in there with the grapes, like for months. So I've been looking at the wine, make sure it wasn't too dark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You just nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And no.
Thank you.
And now, moving forward, do you have a specific plan for rosé? Because like we know, right, rosés, the market share on the wine pie, the rosé market share got so much bigger in the last 4 to 5 years. That's something who's absolutely exploding out there. And it's not only a 2 months thing anymore. People are looking for good rosés year round. So do you have a plan moving forward of making a rosé on a yearly basis, or this is just a one-off?
Oh, yeah. No, the 2020 is we got 2,000 liter of it actually for the 2020. It's going to be a little bit different. We added some Merlot to it because one of the grower is like, please take the grapes, pay me later, do something with it. I'm like, perfect, I'll do it, thank you. So now we added a bit of Merlot, and I'm working on something newer than this one, different than this one, but close. So, but that's something you can taste when you're here next time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I cannot wait to see that. So that will be really interesting. So that's for the rosé. I think and I like the way everything started, right? Let's put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and no, darn, I need color. I love the way everything comes together. And I bet that obviously you're an experienced person, so you're putting the plan together for every year. You're going to have something a little bit more standard, so to make your life a little easier down the road, I guess, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, Mother Nature always decides when it's time to make rosé too. With sometimes some fruits you can't get the sugars you need to get the reds you want, and it's like, okay, let's try to make a rosé out of that. It's more you're forced to than you want to, but it's not just us deciding to do it necessarily.
Oh, I'd say, for everyone who follows the wine, a little bit of the wine, we all need to know that you guys are not deciding. It's Mother Nature at the end of the day who makes almost all of the decision. That's for sure. That's for sure. So let's move on to the next one. By the way, I have to tell you, I'm super impressed. I really like what I'm having, even if it's was an afterthought that year. Doesn't matter what it is. What comes up in my glass here, I'm really pleased with that rosé. So well done job, Valérie, Mark, and Steven.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to the Ehrenfelser Riesling blend. So we are doing the 2018 vintage on this one. So what's the proportion in between the Ehrenfelser versus the Riesling on the 2018?
I believe this one is 20 Ehrenfelser and 80 Riesling for that year. So the percentage is changing depending on what's going on with my plants. The Ehrenfelser is getting better, growing really nicely. It's back. I'm losing at the moment. We're losing a tiny blocks of Riesling. So in the 2020, that's going to be a bit more Ehrenfelser, and I did change a bit of the yeast, but the 819 is pretty much the same as the 18 taste wise, and even if the percentage is different, but they're so alike.
Great. First, I would like to bring Mira in. Mira, do you have a second for us here?
Uh-oh.
How's it going?
It's
You're
very
upstairs.
loud here. It's very loud. There are many children here. How are you?
That's okay. It's a big wine party down here, so that's all good. So I wanted to know your opinion on the rosé and what did you taste on the Riesling Ehrenfelser?
Oh, geez. Okay, so I just thought the nose is so pretty. It's so spring-like. It's so nice. You funny guy. What do you think of this smell? What do you think of
Smells
it?
like everyone.
Oh, yeah? Just like every wine you smell. He smells a lot of really good wine, so that's a compliment, probably.
Right.
Yeah, I just love that it's a rosé, and I love that. And so now you're asking about the this one?
Yeah, exactly. Because I just thought it was that was absolutely your style. When I had my first sip, I was like, "Oh, I think it's something that Mira will go nuts for that."
Oh my gosh, it reminds me a little of Hillside's Muscat Otonnel, a little bit.
Okay, well
Don't you
that's
think?
Oh, wow.
yeah, you know that's intriguing because we're having here some aromatic grapes. So yeah,
Well,
no,
that's maybe
I
why,
can see
right?
a little heavier on the texture for sure. But yeah, no, great comments here. I like it. So what do we? So I really like, to be honest, I like. It's something I want to talk to you. We want to reassure the wine drinker. That's something that I'm hearing so much more lately, and that's why we're putting the residual sugar in every of our wine description, because it feels like people are have a hard time with sweet wine. And when the name Rieslings come up, people right away, there's a pop, I think, in people's heads, sweet, sweet, sweet. And this is not always the case with Riesling. And Riesling can be such a great quality grape. And there's so many great things we can do with Rieslings. So can you please, Valérie and Stephen, both of you, explain like the correlation, the relation between Riesling's acidity and sugar level. So because if you just look at RS, but that doesn't give you the full picture, you need to look at the acidity and also the RS, so not to give you an indication of how sweet the wine would be in your glass. Correct? Or is it just me here?
No, you're totally right. That's how it works with all the wines, actually. If you get your acidity with the right amount of sugar, then that's the mouthfeel that you get, and it's the perfection. That's what gives you perfection in your mouthfeel, right? We had, because of what happened in 2020, we made 3 different Riesling this year, which different terroir grow, different spot of the Okanagan. And one was high acidity, so we did keep more sugar in it, but we stopped fermentation to keep natural sugar. And it's great. I mean, even if the ton of sugar, the balance of the acidity is there, and it makes the wine drinkable and not feeling the sweetness in your throat. It's not like you said, cotton candy. Where here at this Riesling is RS at 6 and the TA it's 7.2. So it's could be around 8. That's what we're looking for going forward. But it's just the balance. It's always about the balance, for the plant, the way they grow, the winemaking, the way you do it. Yeah.
And
that's
Stephen,
makers are.
What's your vision when we talk about Riesling, Stephen? Is there anything you're looking in particular, year in, year out, or it's something that you look at the grape you have first and you build the plan with your plan versus the grape that you receive or the grape that you grow?
I think we're going to continue. I don't know, most likely, unless something drastic happens, with an Ehrenfelser Riesling blend. If we end up with extra Riesling, what you do with it is another matter. If it's really nice, it can go in different places. Maybe we'd make a single varietal that's just Riesling. but we definitely need more fruit to be playing the game at any bigger level anyway.
That's interesting. So what would you say, you guys, that the Ehrenfelser will bring extra to the Riesling blend? Because to me, Ehrenfelser, it's a beautiful, beautiful type of grapes with a beautiful spiciness, and also can bring some flowery aromas. And so what's your strategy bringing the Ehrenfelser in the mix? What do you try to accomplish with it?
I think
it's just they blend together well, and it did help us to get more juice out of it, the production also. And we do believe that single are really great, but sometimes you just need the touch of the other one to bring out what's missing, let's say, because
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
that's
I was looking at my friend. So we'd like to keep the estate series going for the Ehrenfelser Riesling. That is because we have all control on the growing side of it. So, you have no mildew, bit of botrytis in the Riesling, but healthy one. The Ehrenfelser is back and giving us nice grapes now. There's a funny story about that. Also, when I got here, the boys told me that they only get round grapes and bunches. I'm like, no, a bunch is supposed to be a triangular. So 2 years in, working on the plants, we finally got the right size and shape of cluster. They're back to being a grape, not a ball.
Hey, Mira, I would like to know, I see many, many comments in here. Valérie, I know that your mom is a big fan of yours. She's been commenting a bunch. So that's also, we have a lot of people who are mentioning, I can see the word German coming, like the German Riesling, Alsatian Riesling. And I think people get stuck in their head with the sweetness of the German, of the Rhine Valley or the Alsace. So what we produce in BC is completely different than what you got in the old world. Like you barely don't have the petroleum nose. You don't have that rich texture, oily texture, and the sweetness. So please reassure people that's not what you guys are looking for to produce. And it's almost impossible to duplicate that as well.
Actually, no, we had a client during harvest, and those ladies came and just out of the blue, and they're like, "Oh, we like sweet wine." And Mark was there, and I look at Mark, and I'm like, "We don't have anything sweet. Like, there's nothing they're gonna like here. It's not happening." So they tasted some of the fermentation going, and they were pleased. But if you go to try our Riesling, if you like sweetness, it's not gonna happen. We don't do it. It's not our style.
Mira, you up?
Yeah.
There you go. What's going on with the comments? Do we have some comments here coming out of the live stream?
Yeah, I'm posting the ones I that I want you to see, and it's just lots of positivity and lots of fans out in Quebec for you, Valérie. So that's really nice to see. And I think who was it here saying? Yeah, it was just comments about German versus BC Riesling being so different, right? So
okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think of the Ehrenfelser Riesling?
It's beautiful. It's such a nice.
To me, the nose is just like so beautiful. And like some really flower. Nice. There's and on the palate, like the honeydew, the honey melon, very well balanced. I think what you guys are doing here, it's I think to me the first term that I found, it's balance. Like the wine are well balanced. The length is well balanced, the extraction, the finish, so everything is like all very well made together. So you guys are showing some very, very good stuff right here.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Oh no, totally. And like I said, for for us, it's just like I'm super excited to see your vision of the future, because I think in your region where you guys are in OK Falls, because being right down the middle, there's such a difference between the Kelowna and the Lake Country wine region and the south. When you go down to Osoyoos and Oliver, you guys have the luxury to, you guys can work with pretty much every kind of grape if you guys want, because of the, like, you have such a specific, beautiful terroir right down the middle. So what you guys are seeing, your vision long term, what kind of flagship wine are you guys planning? Are you guys are more on the Pinot Noir kind of style, or you guys want to go a little bigger?
Oh yeah.
Bigger's Pinot Noir is always nice, but bigger's better.
Okay.
Our Pinot Noir though. Our Pinot Noir though does have
Dark skin.
we don't dilute the fruit with too much water. You know, we barely water it, and it's a nice dark Pinot. And we use some of it in making our traditional sparkling. So Pinot's definitely going to be around here for a long time.
I'm just tasting my first sip of the Hawk here, and what's come out right away to me, it's the finish. The finish is spicy. I get a really nice peppery finish here. There's a good earthiness in the middle palate, and some good, mostly dark fruit in the opening. So without even peeking of what you get, it's probably like, I would expect something Merlot Cab or something like that. That's probably what it is. But wow, tell me more about the blend. And
sorry, the dog. Is that my turn?
No, that's okay. No, I was just wondering.
Sorry,
tell me more about the blend.
Actually, Mark did the first Hawk, which was called the Nest in 2014 in the old label. And then 2016, that was my first vintage year. So the barrels were aging not 2017, sorry. So those barrels were in the barrel room when we were crafting the 2017. And then that's totally the beginning, my first vintage that Mark is talking to me, teaching me winemaking and telling you when sometimes he was talking to me, I was probably like this, what are you telling me right now? It's like, no worries. You're gonna just keep doing what you're doing. You're great. And then looking at Rob from Black Market doing his things, Mark around helping me, the nose, and then after December, when we put everything in barrel for the 2017, we bring back the 2016, and I learned to play with barrels and choose the best and what's doing and bench trials and all of it. So that's what we have created for the Hawk.
To me, what stands out is the spice on the finish. There's a load of spice at the end. It's super intriguing because, like, if they don't have anything close to the beginning of the Syrah, but the spice, it's almost a Syrah spiciness that I got in the back. So is it something very specific of the terroir of the vineyard on its own, or how did you extract that much spice at the end? That is really, really cool.
It is. It is. The acidity of the reds in the vineyard is a bit higher than what you get south. So I would say that could make a change to compare what you have from the south reds. It's pretty fresh too. So like I said, first vintage, the light on the side of the oak, spiciness for what probably Daniel Ballern did the fermentation for those, and then
I think you mentioned something that I was next to mention. It's the freshness. There's almost a little bit of menthol, like a little minty at the end, who gets that freshness. Like, It's really, really refreshing. Not heavy on oak, that's for sure. It's more on the purity of the fruit. So it's just going to bring me maybe to talk about something that not always people get excited about, but which kind of terroir you guys have, which kind of soil it is on the hog vineyard. Do you have multiple multiple different of soil, or is pretty much one type of soil? What do you get there, Stephen?
We have everything. It
Yeah.
OK Falls was glacial debris dam at the time, and when the ice debris melted, left a bunch of kettles. And kettles are large hollows in the ground. Sometimes there can be water in the bottom of them. Sometimes there aren't. But if you think of a big ice cube being in the ground and it melts and there was all the dirt layered up around it, when it melts, it changes, the fine stuff on the surface runs down into the hollows. So we have pockets of sand, pockets of rock. The name of the vineyard when I bought it was called Stony Slopes Vineyard. But in other spots, you can take an excavator and dig into a bank and not hit a rock. It's straight sand.
At the end, yeah.
So that's just from the glacial deposit, the way that it was left when it all went through. And it's what makes our neighborhood a separate terroir out of the Golden Mile, the Naramata Bench, and the East Bench south of us too. They're sort of, the benches are one, we're in the middle, and then the Golden Mile's the fans from all the erosion coming off the hills.
That's really good explanation. Thank you, Stephen. That to me, it's worth. Like, I really like to picture, like the picture of what you just explained. That's really helpful, and that's why it's allow you, or the people prior to you, it allow people to plant different type of grapes, because you have so many different little pockets of different soil, so you guys can focus on planting different stuff at different places.
Yes, and also we get our the sun in our own little bowl, which creates a whole separate little ecosystem, which changes it all too, I think.
Sorry. I had a question here from Christian Tortenson from Calgary, who's asking, Christian used to do lots of tour with some special groups in the Okanagan, and he was wondering where you guys are. You neighbor with Noble Ridge, or where exactly are you located in OK Falls?
South of Noble Ridge. That's exactly right.
Okay, so you guys are neighbors. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So now, so we're ending here. We're getting too close to an hour in. So, and I don't think I've been disciplined once in a year to end up at the right time. So I'm getting better at that. I see Mira here upstairs laughing, saying, "God, I'm getting right there." So it's pretty good. But I would say, how long do you think that 16 the Hawk can cellar still? Because I can see there's some room to go. There's still some couple good years ahead of that little guy here.
Easy, pretty easy. Yes,
I think so.
Like, and 16 right now, 20, another minimum 5 years, I would say.
Minimum 5, eh? Yeah, that was kind of like the 3 to 5 for sure was to me an easy call. So yeah. And are you changing the blend year in and year out on the Hawk, or you're keeping that recipe fairly straight, or it's more depending on?
Depending, because we have so little of the juice, depending on what we get, and the barrels and the stage kits. Sometimes you have the same barrel coming from the same person, and then you smell both, and they don't smell alike. They're different. They give you something different. So we're crafted. We call us crafted because what we get and we deal with, and we always going to work to be close to it. It's like the 2019 we created won't be a state series. That's going to be a reserve. It's a little bit. You still have the freshness, but you have a sweetness to it too at the end instead of just fresh and spicy. So it will change a little bit depending on the vintage.
Well, that sounds great. Hey guys, I hope that I hope you guys are gonna have a little bit of time in the next couple of weeks because I'm flying out on Monday. I'll be there for 2 weeks. I would definitely would like to swing by and maybe spend an afternoon or something with you guys so we can maybe taste some barrels and I can do a little bit of a vintage review of what you have in the making, and maybe few little pictures so we can help our wine club members to know more about you guys. So hopefully we can find some time and spend time together.
Most definitely. Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
I would like to thank you for your time. Valérie, un gros merci. Merci pour ton knowledge. Merci de ta passion. Merci de partager avec nous. Donc, Stephen, thanks a million. It's always great to chat with people like you guys who have such a good knowledge of where you're at. And you guys we were a visionary to build that crush pad, you and Mark, and to bring some of this incubator to helping these young little prospect up to market and get them ready to do what they're doing now. But it was such a pleasure to have you here for an hour. I would like to thank you for the wine. These wines are beautiful, and we will chat very soon. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
A lot. Have a good evening.
Thanks a million. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have
Bye,
a great
Mia.
night. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Santé.
Bye.
Santé.